So leukopenia is the reduction in the leukocyte count below the normal levels. So this can be balanced or confined to a single cellular element. So leukopenia, a total reduction in the leukocyte count. So when we say a reduction in a particular cellular element, so we have neutropenia for the reduction in neutrophils, lymphopenia for the reduction in lymphocytes, monocytopenia for the reduction of monocytes, okay, and eosinopenia or basopenia for the reduction in eosinophils and basophils respectively. So philia is an increase, penia is the reduction. So general causes of neutropenia. 1. Degeneration, or when there is ineffective granulopoiesis or ineffective formation of granulocytes. So this results in a condition causing the bone marrow activity deficiency, or most of the time there is maturation arrest at the bone marrow. This is characterized by a large number of immature neutrophils in the peripheral circulation. The next category is depression or reduced granulopoiesis, or reduced in the production of granulocytes. In the first case, so there's an ineffective granulopoiesis I mean. So there's production, but probably the maturation is defective. So depression is characterized by diminished number of neutrophils with zero or very few immature neutrophils in the circulation. That's why I said it's reduced formation. Depression, on the other hand, means reduced survival in the blood. So the demand of WBCs is such that the marrow storage pool is exhausted already, and compensatory functional reaction has not yet become manifested. So depletion is characterized by low neutrophil count, and depending on the marrow response, there could be the appearance of immature neutrophils or no appearance of immature neutrophils. Now, there's also a condition known as bone marrow destruction. Okay? So this is due to chemical or physical agents that destroy the blood-forming elements found in the bone marrow, and is characterized by a decrease in all cell types formed in the marrow of the animal, and usually the animal is anemic with leukopenia, because again, with bone marrow destruction, not only the formation of granulocyte is being affected, but even all other cells that are produced in the bone marrow are affected. So that's why there's also anemia. Probably there's also thrombocytopenia or a reduction in platelets. So immature cells in this case are usually absent. So what are the conditions that may cause leukopenia? 1. When there's viral infection. Okay? So there's so many viral diseases in dogs and even other animals, okay, that are capable of causing leukopenia. That's why for some, probably on your early study of these different blood cells, okay, we can say generally that when there's viral infection, there's a reduction in leukocytes. But when there is bacterial infection, usually this will lead to an increase in leukocytes. So whenever there's overwhelming bacterial infection, meaning to say that most of our white blood cells are in the battle, and because of too much invaders, there would be a reduction in the leukocytes or even the neutrophils. Now, endotoxins from gram-negative bacteria. Only for gram-negative bacteria. Okay? So, one of the many systemic effects of endotoxin is to enhance the adhesion of blood neutrophils to the endothelial surface by activating the cell adhesion molecules. So there's redistribution of blood neutrophils occurring as a shift from circulating to marginal pool. So there's the opposite now, okay, from the circulating to the marginal pool. This is manifested as a severe neutropenia. But because the neutrophils essentially remain in the blood but are just marginated and are not represented in the leukogram, the change is also termed pseudo-neutropenia or false neutropenia. Why? Because the neutrophils are still in the system. Right? So, only that they are being adhered to the membrane of the blood vessels. Right? So, the neutropenia, however, is acute, right, but transient. So, this eventually will be followed by neutrophilia, since endotoxin causes release of neutrophils from the marrow storage pool as well. So initially, after endotoxin released from gram-negative bacteria is found in the circulation, this will lead to neutropenia and eventually being replaced by neutrophilia. So cachectic and debilitated states, as we have discussed, will require protein for the production of the cells. Physical agents such as X-rays and radioactive substances. So take note that this may affect the bone marrow, such as these physical agents may cause the reduction in other blood cell types as well. Chemical agents as antibiotics, including sulfas, chloramphenicol, oxytetracycline, penicillin, cortisone, antihistamine, inorganic chemicals such as lead, bismuth, and even mercury. So this can also depress the bone marrow. And of course, even anaphylactic shock may cause leukopenia. Again, on the diagram, we have here the normal neutrophil kinetics. So again, we have this bone marrow pool, we have the maturation and proliferation, and we have the storage pool. Then from the storage pool, of course, the cells will be brought into the circulation, in the blood vessel and into the tissues. Now, in cases of inflammation, of course, as you will notice here, so there is an overwhelming tissue demand. So because, again, these neutrophils would act at the tissue level. So whenever there is an infection or inflammation at the tissue level, there is an overwhelming tissue demand. So as you will notice, there could be migration of neutrophils into the tissue, which exceeds the release from the bone marrow. Meaning to say that more white blood cells or neutrophils are released into the tissues than those being released from the bone marrow into the circulation. So eventually, this will lead to neutropenia. On the next case, cases of endotoxin. So we have said that there could be normal components of the bone marrow, but because of an increase probably in demand, and by the effects of endotoxins, the cell adhesion molecule of our neutrophils are being activated. Hence, they tend to adhere on the blood vessel wall. Such that if you collect blood, of course, there would be a limited amount of circulating granulocytes. Now, when there is peripheral destruction, so peripheral destruction neutropenia, right? So, usually, neutrophils are being destroyed by macrophages, probably because of some anti-neutrophil antibodies found on the surface of the neutrophil itself. Hence, when they are released, they will be attacked by the macrophages. Right? So we also have granulocyte hypoplasia. In this case, you will notice that the bone marrow component is being reduced. Okay? So, neutrophil production, in this case, is reduced. And as such, there will only be a small amount of neutrophil which will be found in the circulation and to be distributed into the tissues. Okay? So, this type of neutropenia is what we call depression. Okay? So, depression kay neutropenia. Unlike with the letter B, with inflammatory, so this is depletion because there is an increase in tissue demand. Now, the last one is an ineffective production neutropenia. So take note of the bone marrow component. There's severe reduction in the maturation pool, and there is none on the storage pool. And because of that, probably because of ineffective production, there is no maturation, and there will be nothing to be released into the circulation. Okay? So usually this results from a disorder that prevents orderly maturation of our neutrophils. So this one is known as your degeneration neutropenia. So again, degeneration neutropenia. We have depression neutropenia, and we have depletion neutropenia in these cases. Then we have lymphopenia, a reduction in the lymphocytes. So there's a decrease in absolute number of circulating lymphocytes. Causes? Certain viral diseases such as canine distemper, infectious canine hepatitis, coronaviruses. This would lead to a reduction in the lymphocytes. Stress. So remember our stress leukogram? Okay? So this would cause a reduction in lymphocytes by 50 to 60%. ACTH injection or adrenocorticotropic hormone injection, which may simulate a stress reaction, both of these causing an excessive amount of corticosteroids, hence resulting in reduction of lymphocytes. Ionizing radiation or any immunosuppressive drugs, so direct effect on the lymphocytes, and probably a loss of efferent limb. Probably there is a certain leakage from the efferent limb. Excuse me. So lymphocytosis, this is an increase in the absolute number of circulating lymphocytes. So cytosis or philia, so this is an increase. So this results from conditions having an association with neutropenia. So any condition that would result in neutropenia may eventually lead to lymphocytosis. How come? So again, okay, there are certain animals in which neutrophils are the predominant white blood cell types, followed by the lymphocytes. So just like in a beauty contest, okay, when the queen, okay, is lost, then the runner-up will take its place. Such that when there is a reduction in neutrophils, there is an associated or relative increase in the lymphocytes. Then we have physiologic leukocytosis in cats. Okay, this would also lead to lymphocytosis. Lymphocytic or lymphoblastic leukemias. Again, leukemia. Okay, so this is a myeloproliferative disorder resulting in an increase or overproduction of leukocytes. But this time, okay, only referring to the lymphocytic cell line. So say lymphocytic leukemia, this is chronic, resulting in small lymphocytes, and animal can live a long time without clinical manifestations. But when we say lymphoblastic leukemia, usually this is acute, characterized by large lymphocytes, and this would have a rapid disease process. Adrenocortical insufficiency. Oh, this is the opposite, right? Opposite of ACTH excess or stress. So therefore, there is an associated increase in lymphocytes. Hyperthyroidism. Why? So again, because of an increase in the rate of cellular division in general. Or following vaccination and in chronic infections resulting in constant antigenic stimulation. And constant antigenic stimulation. In here, okay, the lymphocytes produced are called immunocytes or reactive lymphocytes. So those reactive lymphocytes are lymphocytes with cytoplasmic basophilia and cells resembling plasma cells in the circulation. So they may appear as plasma cells. So this may indicate then that there's chronic antigenic stimulation. Monocytosis is an increase in the number of circulating monocytes. Usually, this is an indication of chronic condition. Again, so when the neutrophils cannot control the infectious process, for example, the monocytes, being the big brother, will take charge. Usually, this will happen in chronic infections. Certain infectious diseases such as erysipelas, listeriosis, and brucellosis may also lead to monocytosis. A specific type of leukemia, monocytic leukemia, and any conditions also that produce neutropenia. So again, there's only a relative monocytosis. ACTH and corticoid treatment. Again, remember your stress leukogram. Okay, so stress or corticosteroids would tend to increase the number of monocytes by 2 to 3-fold. Okay? So acute stress reactions and hyperadrenocorticism, so same effects. Right? So after transient suppression of hematopoiesis and development of leukopenia, usually an increase in blood concentration of monocytes typically precedes the recovery of neutrophils and other granulocytic leukocytes. As we have discussed a while ago, monocytes have a rapid marrow transit time. So you said that only around 2 days will be required also for monoblasts to differentiate into monocytes. So they would mature quickly compared with other white blood cell types. Because with other blood cell types, white blood cell type I mean, there would be longer transit time, sometimes as long as 6 days, for the differentiation of segmented neutrophils from your myeloblasts. In addition, monocytes rapidly leave the bone marrow, whereas neutrophils enter a marrow storage pool, which can delay the entry into the blood. Okay? Such that this is a better indication of recovery. Okay, monocytosis. Eosinophilia is an increase in the absolute number of circulating eosinophils. This is a reflection of hypersensitivity reaction, usually brought about by parasitism. But take note that only for those parasites that have the ability to penetrate tissues. Again, only for those parasites that have the ability to penetrate tissues. Because if you have, let's say, gastrointestinal parasitism, worms or helminths that do not have the ability to penetrate the tissue, then this would rarely cause eosinophilia. But those parasites that have a tendency to penetrate the tissues, either the skin or other organs, they have a tendency to cause eosinophilia. Of course, allergic reactions such as asthma or urticaria allergic dermatitis may cause eosinophilia. Anaphylactic reaction, adrenocortical insufficiency, so again, the opposite of our stress reaction, recovery stage of some acute infection, specific granulocytic eosinophilic leukemia, neoplasms of the ovary and some bones, eosinophilic myositis, splenectomy in dogs, and these are just some of the findings. In some estrus in some dogs may also exhibit eosinophilia. Eosinophilia, or a reduction in eosinophils, may result from any stress conditions. Again, from stress leukogram. acetylcorticoid administration, or even adrenal gland hyperactivity in hyperplasia or neoplasm. So again, eosinophilia can also be seen. Now, basophilia is rare. Okay? So basophilic granulocytic leukemia is the cause. It's also found in hard-formed dogs. And in case of hyperlipoproteinemia, we have said that basophils are required for the clearing of the plasma from these lipids. Okay? So there's no such thing as basophilia, because as we know, basophils may be absent when you do your differential white blood cell count. And that's normal. Now, there are several classification of leukocytic response. 1. Shift to the left. So this denotes an increase in the number of immature neutrophils in the peripheral circulation. Okay? An increase in the number of immature. That's why shift to the left. So again, shift to the left, an increase in mature. Shift to the right, an increase in mature or aged white blood cells. Shift to the left could either be regenerative, shift to the left, or degenerative, shift to the left. When I say regenerative, shift to the left, this is characterized by an absolute increase in neutrophils or total WBC count, accompanied by appearance of immature neutrophils in the circulation. Okay? Immature neutrophils with an absolute increase in total WBC count. Okay, so regenerative. But when we say degenerative left shift, there's normal, low, or falling total leukocyte count accompanied by moderate to marked increase in immature neutrophils, frequently exceeding the mature neutrophils. And so therefore, most of the time, this is associated with ineffective granulophysis, particularly an ineffective maturation of your white blood cells or granulocytes. Okay? So we also have shift to the right, which denotes an increase in the percentage of older cells. So therefore, right shift describes increase in number of hypersegmented neutrophils, because as we have said, the more lobes or nuclear lobes, okay, the more mature or aged is our neutrophils. So usually neutrophils in this case may have 5 or more nuclear lobes. Now, right shift occur most often in animals, especially in dogs, on glucocorticoid therapy or those animals with hyperadrenocorticism. Why? Since glucocorticoids inhibit the emigration of neutrophils from blood vessels, so therefore it may prolong their presence in the circulation. And as such, they may age or mature inside the blood vessels. Okay, so that is shift to the right. So in general, leukocyte response in relation to a disease process may be associated with number 1. In bacterial infection with septicemia, there's often no leukocytosis, but more commonly a degenerative left shift. Bacterial infection with localization pus formation stimulates marked neutrophilia. Before the abscess becomes encapsulated, the total count may be marked to extreme, but once they are being contained in a pyogenic membrane, then eventually there would be a rapid drop in the number of leukocytes in the circulation. Neutrophilia is associated with a variety of non-infectious conditions as well, which may simulate the stress reaction such as malignancy, chemical intoxication, metabolic intoxication such as uremia, post-operative state, any hemolytic crisis, or significant blood loss. Again, demi-simulate stress reaction. So therefore, there is neutrophilia. So there is monocytosis. There is lymphopenia as well as eosinophilia. Eosinophilia is most commonly associated also with antigen-antibody reactions and the release of histamine from decomposition of tissues. And there's also eosinophilia. Monocytosis is an indication of chronicity, reflecting the need for destruction of pathogens too difficult for neutrophils to handle, or the need for the removal of tissue debris in chronic inflammatory processes. So leukopenia, on the other hand, is common to most diseases caused by viruses. Now, sometimes the examination of the leukogram or the determination of the white blood cell counts may not be enough to arrive at the diagnosis. Sometimes we may be required to do a bone marrow examination. So we have to do biopsy on the bone marrow. So biopsy of the bone marrow usually is performed on the iliac crest, ilium bone, trochanteric fossa, the sternum, the ribs, using special bone marrow or the gauge 18 cerebrospinal fluid. Sometimes you may also require a curette to do the process. Now, from that, you will have to determine the ratio of the myeloid to erythroid cells. Myeloid meaning the white blood cell precursor, erythroid meaning the red blood cell precursor. So you have to determine the ratio by counting 300 to 500 cells and categorizing them. Now, the interpretation of this myeloid to erythroid ratio is facilitated by the knowledge of the PCB as well as the WBC count. The myeloid to erythroid ratio for dogs is usually 1:1, and for cats 1.6:1. So there are more myeloid precursor compared with the erythroid precursor. Okay? So again, it should be facilitated by the knowledge of the PCB and the WBC count. Let's say, for example, if a particular animal has high myeloid to erythroid ratio, so high myeloid to erythroid ratio, but normal white blood cell count. So what does it mean? What does it mean? An animal having high myeloid to erythroid ratio and normal WBC count. So we may assume that because of higher myeloid to erythroid ratio, the animal might be having too much myeloid precursor. But then again, looking at the WBC count, it is considered normal. So therefore, what is the defect? So the defect probably is on the erythroid precursor. Because of the normal WBC count, we can say that the myeloid precursor is normal. But because the myeloid to erythroid ratio is increased, this may indicate erythroid hypoplasia. So there is a defect or a reduction in the myeloid or in the erythroid precursor with the normal myeloid precursor. Now another example, if an animal has low myeloid to erythroid ratio, but there is, let's say, an increase in the white blood cell count. So what does it mean? Low myeloid to erythroid ratio, but there is an increase in white blood cell count. How come that myeloid precursor is normal? And so in that condition, probably there is red blood cell regeneration. So there is kay an increase in the erythroid kay formation such that the ratio is altered. Okay? Such that the myeloid to erythroid ratio is reduced. Okay? So, in that case, okay, the erythroid precursor increase or there is red blood cell degeneration. Now, let us try to do our leukogram evaluation or the interpretation of our leukogram as we have probably seen or discussed with our erythrogram. Is it erythrogram? Okay, so that will be the values for our red blood cell. For the white blood cell, we have our leukogram. Okay? So first, okay, so after you have your leukogram or your values, okay, you have to determine, is there an evidence of inflammation? Okay, so what are the usual signposts or hallmarks of our inflammation? Okay, so number one, there could be neutrophilic left shift. Okay, there's also persistent eosinophilia or monocytosis. Okay, so these are signposts of inflammation. And in normal, that will say in normal WBC count, when the band neutrophil is increased, so more than 300 white blood cell, particularly the banded one, the banded neutrophils, in an otherwise normal white blood cell count, this is considered left shift. And that is an indication of inflammation. So again, in normal white blood cell count, with more than 300 band neutrophil, this is an indication of left shift. Okay? So after determining the presence of inflammation, we have to determine, is there an evidence of glucocorticoid response? Okay? So glucocorticoid response, meaning our stress reaction. Okay? So, looking at the leukogram, is there mild, mature neutrophilia, lymphopenia, eosinopenia, and monocytosis? So this are good evidences of glucocorticoid response. Next, is there evidence of epinephrine release? Epinephrine release. Usually, this may result from excitement. Dogs primarily would have neutrophilia, but cats, this is a different thing. For cats, usually, this is characterized by lymphocytosis. Okay? But regardless of the species, there is leukocytosis, which disappears very rapidly. Okay? So as soon as the excitement is lost or the animal relaxes, the leukocytosis eventually normalizes. Okay? So that's an evidence of epinephrine response. Okay? So physiologic leukocytosis. Next, is there evidence of hypersensitivity reaction? And hypersensitivity reaction is manifested by persistent eosinophilia, an increase in the eosinophils. 5. Is there evidence of tissue necrosis? And what would indicate tissue necrosis? Again, this is evidenced by persistent monocytosis. Again, monocytosis could be indication of tissue necrosis. Now, if inflammation is present, can it be further classified? So we can classify inflammation basically as to either to be acute or chronic. So acute inflammation, if you recall, is characterized by neutrophilia. Okay? Neutrophilia, which tends to be left shift. There could also be lymphopenia if the animal is stressed. Monocytosis, if that inflammation is associated with necrosis. Okay? But then, this tends to be regenerative. Now, whenever there's overwhelming inflammation, particularly overwhelming infection, we might expect a decrease in white blood cell count, decrease in neutrophil left shift, and a decrease in lymphocyte with associated increase in monocyte. This time, this is called degenerative left shift. Now, in chronic inflammation, okay, so neutrophils return to near normal, but there is consistent monocytosis. If stress is continued, then we should expect lymphopenia. But antigenic stimulation causes increase in lymphocytes, and usually chronic inflammation is associated with anemia, an increase in immunoglobulin production, particularly IgG. Okay? So with such increase in IgG, there is also an associated hyperproteinemia, or an increase in protein in the blood. Okay? Now, with reduction in platelets, usually this is associated with disseminated intravascular coagulation in cases of chronic inflammation. Okay? Now, and lastly, okay, is there evidence of systemic toxemia? Okay? So, is there evidence of toxicity? Now, okay, if the mature neutrophils manifest toxicity, say bizarre nucleus and the like, so toxic mature in an otherwise normal band neutrophils, this means the toxemia is resolving. But okay, if band neutrophils manifested toxicity, or we have toxic band neutrophils in an otherwise normal mature neutrophils, this means that the condition is worsening. Okay? So, okay, we have to determine all of these cases. So, the last part is hematopoietic neoplasia. Okay? So, leukemia is a generalized, probably neoplastic, malignant proliferation of one of the leukocytic tissues, either the bone marrow, the lymphoid tissue, or the reticuloendothelial system. Okay? So as in this case, okay, for example, okay, if this is the normal hematocrit, so take note this one. Okay, so there is an excessive amount of these white blood cells or buffy coat, okay, on our PCV. Right? So leukemia literally means white blood. So this term was initially used to describe disorders characterized by abnormal finding of large number of leukocytes which are present in the circulation. Okay? So leukemias are neoplastic disorders, okay, that result from uncontrolled and excessive proliferation of hematopoietic cells within the bone marrow. And as malignant cells increase in number, usually they replace the normal bone marrow and are frequently observed in abundance in the peripheral blood, such that we have the term called white blood. So leukemia or white blood. So classification, of leukemia based on leukocytic count and the stage of maturity. We say leukemic leukemia. There's high leukocyte count with many abnormal and immature cells in the circulation. Okay? So that's leukemic leukemia. Abnormal immature leukocytes found in the circulation. But when I say subleukemic leukemia, there could be normal or low leukocyte counts, but with abnormal differential count showing primitive cells. So take note that only the band neutrophils would be present. So that's the only immature forms that could be present in the circulation. But if you see metamyelocyte, for example, that is abnormal. Okay? So we have a leukemic leukemia. This time, there's normal leukocyte count, so that's why leukemic. And no abnormal or immature cells in the blood smear. So leukemic cells in this case may not circulate in the peripheral blood, but remain in the bone marrow. So if you are going to look for in the bone marrow, you have this bone marrow examination, you will find bizarre cells, which are typical of our malignant cells or malignant white blood cells. Now, another classification is according to the duration of disease process. Okay? So, when we say acute, usually this is subleukemic with many undifferentiated or immature cells in the marrow or blood. So, myeloproliferative disorders can be classified as either acute or chronic based on the degree of maturation and differentiation of the neoplastic cells. If it is acute, again, the neoplastic cells are immature and they do not go beyond the blast stage. Okay? So they do not go beyond the blast stage. So if you're going to look at the bone marrow smear, so mostly that of the blast stage, myeloblast will be seen. Other characteristics, this could have rapid onset with short survival time and characterized by cellular immaturity. Now, with chronic leukemia, so this may be aleukemic, subleukemic, or leukemic leukemia as blood counts vary depending on the course of the disease. Okay? In chronic myeloproliferative disorders, usually this is characterized by proliferation of excessive numbers of mature and well-differentiated hematopoietic cells. So unlike with that of acute, in which mostly the most immature forms are found, such as the myeloblast. But with chronic, with prolonged course, the animal will have longer survival time, and in the examination, you will see cellular maturity, unlike those of acute, which is characterized by cellular immaturity. Now, the next classification is based on the type of predominating cell observed. So this may be granulocytic, lymphocytic, monocytic, or plasmacytic. So we have granulocytic leukemia, lymphocytic leukemia, monocytic leukemia, plasmacytic leukemia, etc., etc. Okay? So in here, we have, for the red blood cell, of course, this is known as polycythemia vera. So the microscopic appearance of red blood cell is normal, but the hematocrit in this case is very, very high. Okay? Often around 75% or even megakaryocytic myelosis if the condition, as in this case, would involve the platelets. Okay? So megakaryocytic myelosis. So there could be cellular immaturity as well. Monocytic leukemia okay, if the monocytes are involved. Acute granulocytic leukemia, okay, if neutrophils are involved. Eosinophilic leukemia, if eosinophils are involved. Basophilic, basophils are involved, okay. And we also have mast cell leukemia, very specific cell, mast cell is involved. Now, aside from leukemia, we also have the term leukemoid reaction. This is similar to the left sheep of the regenerative type, so mostly immature, and is characterized by extreme leukocytosis simulating that observed in leukemic leukemia, but the cause is inflammatory condition and not neoplastic. So this table is a summary of the different leukocyte response. It could be shifted to the left, which should either be regenerative or degenerative. When I say regenerative, okay, this is characterized by neutrophilia and the presence of immature neutrophils in the circulation. Okay? So this could be slight, moderate, or marked, okay, depending on what immature cells are found in the circulation. When I say degenerative, there could be normal WBC count, or in some instances even leukopenia. But again, this is characterized by young, immature granulocyte in the circulation. Okay? When we say shift to the right, there's normal to leukocytosis, but there is an abnormal number or percentage of hypersegmented, meaning aged or degenerating neutrophils. But when we say leukemoid reaction, there is indeed leukocytosis, and is similar to regenerative shift, but the cause is not leukemia, but any inflammatory condition. Here we have the differentiation between a true leukemia and a leukemoid reaction. Okay? With true leukemia, leukocytes are atypical, particularly the immature ones. So there are certain bizarre shapes, okay, of our leukocytes. But with leukemoid reaction, immature cells as well as mature leukocytes would show normal morphology. With true leukemia, myeloblasts, okay, these are the immature cells, may be numerous and as high as 99%, especially in chronic leukemia. But with leukemoid reaction, myeloblasts, okay, usually is less than 10%. With true leukemia, immature red blood cells are rarely increased in proportion to the increase in white blood cells. But with leukemoid reaction, erythroblasts often increase in proportion to the immature leukocytes. Okay? So they would parallel with that of the white blood cells. So there's also an increase. With true leukemia, platelets decrease, often severely, except in chronic myelocytic leukemia in which they are increased. But with leukemoid reaction, platelets usually is normal or increased or may be moderately decreased depending on the condition. With true leukemia, there is progressive anemia which may become severe because the bone marrow is being predominated by myeloblasts or white blood cell precursor. But with leukemoid reaction, anemia would be variable, so depending on the case. Okay? So I think that's it. Okay, so we will have another activity, okay, on our leukocytes. Okay? Thank you for listening.